Hey everybody, welcome back to Ready Steady Play, where I'm about to delve into a rules explanation for the expansion sets for Champions of Midgard. Now I've still got the base game stuff out here, and I've already been through the rules of that if you saw my video earlier. If you don't know how to play the base game, you should probably check that out. But if you've already played the base game loads of times, you're like, Mike, that came out like 2 years ago, we've played it to death. Please tell us if this new content is worth our time and energy. Great, good news. I've got the new expansions here. There's Valhalla and the Dark Mountains. These have come out at the same time, but both add very different things to the game. I think Valhalla is a bit bigger and more complex, so I'll explain that second, and we'll just run through the Dark Mountains first. So, if you want to know what lies in the Dark Mountains expansion, then stick around. If you want to know what's in the Valhalla expansion, skip ahead. I'll put like a time code at the bottom of this section or something. So in the Dark Mountains expansion, we get a bunch of new content, and it's all here, because we ordered the Kickstarter box, and we didn't get the game boxes. But you've got a new board. We've got these are the Dark Mountains. Behold their darkness. We've got dice, a new warrior type, the Archer. We'll talk about him later. We've got these 100-point boats. They also go up to 200, so when you pass off the score track, then you can use one of these boats to indicate you have 100 and something. They didn't need these before, but I guess that means that the enemies we're going to find in this expansion set are pretty badass. These are the enemies we're going to find in this expansion set. The beggars are. They live in the mountains, and we're going to have to go kill them in the Dark Mountains. They're giants. Yeah. We've got some new rune cards here that fit in with the new content, as well as a new Destiny card that also fits in with the new content. We've also got 2 new leaders. Here are the new leaders, ragnhild and yarol. We've got a deck of encounter cards for the Dark Mountains, because getting there is not going to be easy. It's going to be all kinds of shit. Oh no! We've also got these guys. That's right, a 5th player. You can play with 5 now. Holy cow. How'd you play with 5? Oh look! Here's extra market stall slots for 5 players. It goes up. You remember in the core set how we had to put our guys on the leaderboard when we wanted to take a beggar action? That's nonsense, right? What's that about? It's resolved. We've got this, the beggar tile. You put this on the board, anyone can take it. There's the blame and the resource at the top, and there's the 4 slots. Anyone can take this. No one will take it. It's terrible. This is the most redundant. We've got 2 new economic buildings. The Wandering Monk. Get a favor. And the gossip. Give all your blame to someone. This can only come in with 3 or more players. We've also got roving rangers. Hires an archer and a spear guy. There's also this boat that you can use in the 5-player version of the game. Yay! Skidbladnir. It's the worst boat by miles. All of the expansion content is designed to be just inserted into the base set and make it bigger, and off you go. And if you want to ever uninsert it or get it out of your base set, everything is marked with a symbol. This is the symbol. If you ever see this mountain symbol, that means this is designed to be used with the Dark Mountain expansion set. It's worth noting that from what I've seen, all of the content in the Dark Mountain expansion set is basically standalone, i.e. everything from Dark Mountain can be inserted into the base game and played with. There are a few elements that come with Valhalla that are used specifically with Dark Mountain, which means that there are stuff in Valhalla you can't use if you don't have Dark Mountain. But as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in Dark Mountain that you can't use without Valhalla. Everything is usable. I almost forgot, we got a new type of troll, the Troll Lord. He's like a troll, but more badass. But when you kill him, you get loads more glory. You also get to give everybody a blame. They're all to blame. You still get wood. We've also got a whole bunch of new monster types to go in the distant lands. Just all kinds of different stuff, and they kind of have different sort of mechanics. Like this one doesn't have defense. You automatically kill him, but you get bonus gold based on how many hits you do. And the rock guy, he doesn't have an attack, but he kills everybody who rolls a blank Oh, fearsome rock man. So when you're setting up the Dark Mountain, it's really, most of it's pretty self-explanatory. This one, you're only going to need this if you've got like 4 or 5 players. If you've got 4 players, all of the market symbols here on the main board will be filled. So you use this one to put that down on it. It's a little unnecessary, I'm not going to lie. So if you don't want to do that, you can always just put this somewhere else, not use this, or, just don't use that at all, because nobody's going to take the beggar action. It's terrible. But we'll assume we're setting up for 3 players. We've got our Dark Mountains board. That just slots in at the top here. And the reason we put it at the top here is because it's essentially sort of more fighting slots. We're going to go here. We're going to fight the Bergenzar. It's not dissimilar to fighting the monsters in distant lands in that we'll have an encounter card that we have to get through, or a journey card, which might give us an encounter event as we travel to the mountains to fight the enemies. Although unlike the distant lands, we don't need a boat, and we're more likely to need gold to get through these encounters than food. I guess that represents us sort of buying like the gear we need to get up into the mountains, like the sleighs and the crampons, and hiring the guides, and paying off the mountain gods so they don't bury us in snow. But when you're doing your combat phase, the resolve combat step, you'll still move left to right along the top, which means you're going to fight the troll, then the Druger, then the Bergrazar. Then you'll move to the distant lands. So that's why the board goes here. It's to help with this movement here for resolving combat. We'll take our Bergrazar deck. We'll just plop that down here on the mountains. We've also got our encounters here. We'll put that down here. We'll take our new economic and military tiles and just mix them in with the previous decks. Great. We'll shuffle those up and deal out the appropriate number for the amount of players we have. So with 3, it's still 2 economic tiles and 1 military tile. Note that because I don't have 4 players, I can use this extra market stall slot for the beggar tile. Oh, that's not an expansion tile. Yay, gossip! So, there we go. That's all set up. These monsters are just going to get shuffled. There's more monsters than this. They're all going to get shuffled into the monster deck, and the trolls will get shuffled into the troll deck. We can stick down our runes in the rune deck. Uh-oh. Our destiny card into the destiny deck here. Our archers can just get added to our warrior pool. Get in there, archers. Meet the guys you'll be dying with. Take our appropriate player tokens here. Our extra point tokens. Get rid of the excess. And we'll put these up here. You can grab a longship as you circumnavigate the points board. The leaderboard. Right, we've got 2 extra. Get rid of this. I don't have 5 friends. I don't have 4 friends who are going to come and play Champions of Midgard with me. So we've got Joran and Ragnhild. Joran's great. So Joran is got the ability that when she travels to a fight, if she has an encounter card that's not all quiet, then she gains 2 glory. That's her ability. She's a traveler. So we can see here Joran, one of the new leaders, the traveler, says whenever you encounter a journey event that is not all quiet, gain 2 glory. That's awesome and badass. Ragnhild is the other one. Ragnhild, the advisor to the yarol, I suppose. It says when activating the yarol's longhouse, you may take a red or black die instead of a white die. So a spearman or an axeman instead of a swordsman. I mean, I guess that's pretty good. I don't know how often you want to be first player, but I guess with Ragnhild, you're going to be first player more often than not. It's just a shame it doesn't really use the new expansion content. What you're going to do is during setup, you're going to flip over to Bergrazars in addition to your Draugr or your trolls or whatever. You're also going to fill in the journey cards here. And that's pretty much it. You're good to go. You've just set up the extra spot. So let's imagine that our blue player has gone here to the Dark Mountains to fight the Bergrazar. He'll have to assign a number of warriors to fight that guy. So blue player here is going to have to assign a number of warriors to fight the Bergrazar, the blue one in this case. So let's say he sends 4 dudes here. Now it's worth noting that the reward for defeating burgers is archers, members of the archer clan. This new green dice we're going to look at in a minute. However, archers cannot be used here in the mountains for some reason. They're just completely worthless. So don't assign your archers to these things or they will die immediately. So once he's assigned his Vikings, we proceed to the resolve combat step. We'll do the trolls and the Druger first, and then we'll come to the Burgazar, at which point we reveal the journey card, which says here, lost. Pay 1 gold or lose 2 guys. Well, shit, he got lost in the mountains. Look at that. So, the blue player will have to resolve this, either by paying a gold if he's got one, let's hope he does, or else by losing 2 men. So, let's hope he has the gold. And then, however he resolves it, he'll progress on to the combat because he had guys left. Obviously, if he had no one left, that would be the end. And then it's combat as usual. This is a pretty tough guy, so let's see if he can do it. Oh, 2 wounds. That's pretty good. But 2 men are going to die. It's obviously these guys. And then he goes again next round. Whoa, he did it, but these guys are also dead. So he's going to take this card just like normal and put that under his player board. That can count towards his sets at the end of the game. He'll gain 9 glory, and he'll get one of those archer dies, which he can add to his army. Yay! Speaking of the archer clan, let's have a look at this guy. Now that we've resolved the combat, or even during the cleanup step, we can take this revealed journey card and add it to the journey discard pool here. Here's our archer die. Our archer die has both good things and bad things. The bad thing is there's no double damage side. There's only actually 3 sides. The 1 blank face, which is the good thing. It's only got 1 blank face. That's awesome. However, it does have only 2 other faces. It's got a bow, which is 1 hit. It's the same as the single weapon on any of the other die, like the spear or the single axe. 1 damage, great. But it's also got this other curious face. What is this? Well, this has got a stag on it, and what this face means is this counts as 2 hits, but only when the archer is being used for hunting, which makes these archers incredibly good at hunting. They've got, I think, 2, 3 of these hunting sides, so 3 doubles for hunting. And because they only have 1 blank face, they're actually really good damage dealers for 1 guaranteed hit. If you just need to kill something with 1 life, these guys will get it done for you. Just remember, you can't send them to the mountains. They'll just die trying to get there. And that's pretty much it for the Dark Mountains, to be honest. You've got the cleanup step where you're going to take any revealed journey cards, just like the ones down here, and put them in the discard pile. Then you'll take cards off the top of the deck to replace any that were perished. There's a few other little tiny bits of admin to mention. As you can see on the rulebook here, it shows some new icons and stuff. Any die symbol has been changed so that it can also represent the archer. And the resource is, there's a new resource symbol and also the new archer symbol. It's also got the symbol for the expansion there as well. Furthermore, there are adjustments to the actual base board, although they'll only come up in niche situations. The worker's hut allows the purchase of the 5th player's worker for 1 gold. And the sage's hut, which says look at 1 face down journey card, obviously refers to both the face down water journey cards and the face down mountain journey cards. So that covers it for Dark Mountains. I'm now going to explain the rules for Valhalla. So what I'll do is I'll leave the Dark Mountain board on the table here, but whenever something affects content specific to the Dark Mountain, I will mention that, make sure I mention that in the Valhalla rules explanation. Welcome to the rules explanation for Champion of Midgard's Valhalla expansion. This is the 2nd expansion for Champions of Midgard that we're going to be looking at. Because tomorrow we're going to be playing with all 3 things. Because you can't really play without the base game. So, Champions of Valhalla. Again, I've got the rulebook here because we don't have the box. We've just got the fancy Kickstarter box. So, I'm going to go through just what comes in this box. And then I'll explain the rules real quick. Honestly, it's pretty straightforward. So here we've got the lovely new Valhalla board with 8 card slots on it and some rules. The Valhalla board is just going to slot here, conveniently under the Dark Mountains. Note that with 5 players we'd have to make some room for the new market stalls. But we don't have 5 players, so we're just going to go ahead and put Valhalla right there, under the mountains. We have tons of new and interesting dice. We've got Berserkers, Valhallan shield warriors and our leaders. That's right, we have a die now. Awesome. We've got 2 new leaders. One would hope that these leaders make use of the new expansion content. This one doesn't. That one does. I mean, look at her. She's a Valkyrie. She's called Valkyrie Born. We have these. These are great. These are leader abilities. Every leader. This comes with one for every single leader they've released. So the 2 from Dark Mountains and the stuff from the core set. All leaders get a new leader ability. What can you do? Well, this is a special power that is associated with your die. So you're going to keep your die here. And when you roll this Viking helmet, and yes, that is a historically accurate Viking helmet, you can take this ability. Awesome sauce. We've got a deck of epic enemies. These are huge epic enemies that you can acquire over the course of the game. Like this guy. And that one. And Flidja. The ghost rabbit. We've got some new Destiny cards that make use of the new components in the expansion set. Awesome. I've got these. These are Viking cemeteries. This is where you're going to be keeping your souls. Souls? Yes, we've got these tokens here. These are souls. Every warrior has a soul, except for our leader, because our leader never dies. They only get knocked out. More on that later. But this is souls for every other warrior type that exists in the game. We've got the new ones. We've got the ones from Dark Mountains. We've got the ones from the base set. Yes, because as your warriors die, you will collect these souls and use them as currency. We've also got this deck of Valkyrie's Blessings. You can purchase these with souls to redeem benefits. Think of it kind of like a heavenly loyalty card. Some of these have bonuses that are applied immediately. For example, this one resurrects your leader if your leader's died. That's how they come back. That symbol right there. Bring your leader back from the dead. Except they're not dead. They're knocked out. This will heal the most grievous of wounds. Also, gain a favor token and get rid of a blame token. It costs the souls of 2 swordsmen. So it's budget. But some of these... That's not one. I should have rigged this. Here we go. The Hunter's Bow. Have a permanent bonus. So the Hunter's Bow is going to give you... So here we see both unique items from the expansions. That means you need both expansion sets in order to use this card. So if you're playing without the Dark Mountains, you'll have to take this out. Because you've got the soul of an archer there. Well, without the Dark Mountains, you can't get archers. So forget about it. But if you do have both expansions and you want to include this, that's cool. The first thing you get is glory. The number of glory points you get is equal to the number of rounds the game is on. So for example, on round 5, if you buy this card, you'll get 5 glory points. You'll also get +1 resource of any type whenever you hunt. That's pretty awesome. So, how to set up. It's pretty easy. Every player will get a cemetery. They'll also get their appropriate player ability. So the player ability just slots under the board like that. And because you've got your leader right from the start, you get to start with a leader die. Awesome. So we can add our new Destiny cards to the Destiny deck. Also, just put your souls in a convenient pool somewhere for someone to grab and access. So we've got our epic monsters here. These are our badass guys that are going to come out. And they're, just the worst. And so we will shuffle these. Now, in a 2 or 3 player game, we will deal out 2 of them. And in a 4 or more player game, we will deal out 3. So here we go. 1, 2. Great. And these 2 are going to sit there. And they can be purchased by anybody at any time. And I'll explain how that happens now. So here we've got Ymir. He's some kind of badass ice giant lord. He's worth 12 glory. And it says game end. Each blue enemy counts twice for sets. So you only have to kill half as many of his men. Well, to make sets. That's pretty cool. So if you want to buy him, you have to have the soul of a swordsman, the soul of an axeman, 2 random souls, the soul of a shield maiden, and the soul of a berserker. So, pretty hefty cost. But at any point when you could spend souls to buy things, and I'll explain when that is later on, but at any point when you could spend souls to buy things, you can spend souls to buy this card. So I've put out 2 of those because we've got 3 players. The next step is to put out the Valkyrie cards. Now, there's going to be 4 of these in play at any given time, so we'll deal out 4 of them and then put the deck onto the last space on the board here. And this is basically a marketplace where you can go and spend your warrior souls. Well, how do we get warrior souls? Well, I told you, when they die, but I'll explain that in a bit more detail now. Blue player is approaching the distant lands. First, it's the resolve combat step, and first he must resolve his journey card. All quiet! Awesome! We could just progress over that. So now he's got to spend food. 2 per 2 men. Awesome. Well, he looks like he planned that well. Now he's going to fight the Eljotnar. Well, it looks like he's killed it. He's rolled 3 damage and it only has 2 hit points. But he has lost 2 men in return. Now, this is a berserker. A berserker is kind of like a resurrected Axeman, but with only 1 blank side. So he's totally badass. Look, he's got 3 double damage sides and only 1 blank face. So he is super good at killing. The problem with the berserker is that he's so violent and also naked that whenever you have to remove dice from combat, you must always remove them first. So we're going to have to lose the berserker. Sorry, dude. We're also going to lose an archer because they're kind of overrated. Now that we've won the combat, we get 10 glory points and a favor. So we go over here to Blue's player board. There's our favor there. Now what we're going to do is get souls for the 2 guys we lost. So we're over here on Blue's player board. We've got our favor there. Here are the souls for the 2 guys that we lost. They go here in our cemetery, which is of course a Viking longship on fire. So these, now that we've acquired these, we can spend them. We could, whenever we acquire souls, we can spend souls. We can't spend them any other time, and we only acquire them after a combat is completely resolved. And then we could spend any souls we already had. So let's just grab some more. Well, it looks like we've been dying a lot in glorious battle. I guess either we are very, very glorious Vikings, or perhaps our leader's a bit incompetent. Either way, we've got loads to spend now. We've just acquired these 2 after resolving our combat. So now we can spend any number of these. Let's go to the marketplace and see what we can buy. This is the marketplace for souls. Here you can spend souls on things. You can buy any of these 4 cards, or you can spend 2 souls to gain a glory, or you can spend 3 souls to gain 1 die of your choice. Any die you want from this massive pool of dice. You can buy any one of them. So here's the marketplace. In the marketplace, you can spend souls. You can spend 2 souls to buy a glory. You can spend 3 souls to get any die you want from the die pool. Look at that. You can have any one of these, or whatever you want. Just 1, though. You can also buy any one of these 4 cards. Now, it's worth noting that if you buy cards, they're not replaced until after this action is resolved, at which point they're replaced immediately, which means you could only ever buy a maximum of 4. When you buy one of these cards, it's immediately resolved. So in this case, your leader would come back to life and you get these 2 dice immediately. You can then hang on to this card because you might have destiny cards or something that affect the Valkyrie blessings later on. If you are doing particularly well or very wealthy in souls, you might choose to buy one of these epic monster cards already. But there's only 2 in the game, so players will be competing for them, so make sure you get the one you want early. But Mike, I hear you ask, how does that blue leader die work? Well, you start with that. You can use it like any other normal die whenever you want to do anything you want. And you can send it into battle whenever you want. Here, the blue player has put the leader on in charge of his Snekja and sent her off to foreign lands. Fortunately, we've already discovered that it's all quiet, so we can go straight into combat with the Eljotnar. We've also got to spend this food. So here we go, ready to resolve the combat. We roll these dice to see how it goes. And what do you know? Well, we haven't killed the Eljotnar. So we have to kill off 2 people and try again. Now here, our leader's special ability is procced. For the blue player, that says immediately take the sage's hut action. Well, that's pretty cool. So we might go away and do that and then come back. But we do have to resolve this combat, so we kill off 2 people. We'll get souls for them in a minute, but our leader's the only one that's left. We're going to have to roll really well if we want to kill this person. It's basically a 6. Well, we've failed. Oh, we can do the sage's action again. Brilliant. And then our leader dies. Now, when our leader dies, we simply return this die to the die pool, but we don't get any souls for it, because our leader's not actually dead, they're just knocked out. And we can resurrect our leader. I'll show you how. So, you may have noticed this symbol here on some of these cards. That's the resurrect leader symbol. If your leader has died in glorious battle, you can use this symbol to resurrect them by buying one of these cards. If they haven't died and you have this card, then the symbol does nothing for you. Note that there's not really any consequences to your leader dying. All that happens is you lose a die that you could otherwise roll in combat, and you can't use your leader's ability, your heroic ability, until you resurrect them and bring the die back from the pool to your player board. This is an example of the new Destiny card. It says, have the most Axeman tokens remaining at the end of the game. This refers to the soul tokens. Have the most dead Axeman that you haven't spent at the end of the game. You'll get 5 glory for it. I thought I'd also show you the Valhalla Shield Maiden die, specifically because it comes with this new type of side on it. So you've got your regular double hit side, and that's, well, there's a double hit and a couple blanks, and then there's this symbol here, which counts as both a single hit and a shield, making these guys like the sort of the defensive tanks of the Viking world. Very good for protecting your men if you're going in and you don't want them dying. Of course, now, you might want them to die, because there might be some fat loot you want to purchase with their souls. I should also mention, now that you might want your Vikings to die, you can actually elect not to use your shields. So you can just say, well, I've rolled 3 shields, but actually I don't really want to win, I don't really want to keep these dice. I just want souls for cards. I want to make sure I get that Ymir card. So, yeah, just let them die. Collect those souls. You'll get more guys later. And they died in glorious battle, which is, you know, the Vikings' best way to go. So that wraps up my Champions of Midgard expansions rules explanation. I hope you guys feel pretty confident about what's going on in these 2 expansions. They're not particularly big or complex, but they add a lot of meat to the game, and I really like them. So I'm going to sit down tomorrow with my friends Michael and Ben, and we're going to play through a game to see who can be the most glorious Viking. I hope you'll come and join us for that. And thanks for watching.